Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov's chess channel and welcome to my Basics in Chess series. So in this series we follow opening principles, middle game strategies and the end game strategies. Today we're continuing with the middle game strategies. Today we have a very important subject, and it's the so-called opposite side attack in the chess game. The opposite side attack is this position. Of course it's much more complicated with some other pieces on the board, with more pawns on the board, but basically the most often opposite side attacks happen when we have castled on opposite sides. So it means when you have castles here, maybe as white on the queen side and as black here on the king side, the position gets really dynamic. We should really try to get as fast as we can an attack against your opponent's king, but there are also many more rules to follow in this opposite side attacks. In this opposite side attacks can even happen when you have castled on the same side, and we'll see now in a couple examples the importance of these positions when you have these types of positions. So it's really important also to have the same principles to create a fast attack. But here I have prepared the main principles for you in this opposite side attack games. Of course, as I mentioned, attack your opponent's king as fast as you can. You should also sacrifice pawns even, just in order to open files, open diagonals, maybe get in the decisive tempo, which can bring you a faster attack than your opponent, because this opposite side attack, it's really sort of a race situation. When we have the race situation, you cannot lose any tempo. So tempo in this opposite side attack is decisive element of the attack, because when we have maybe an attack, we should always count our tempos. How many tempos do we need in order to get this attack working? So it's really a difference if you have 2 tempos or if you have 3 tempos. This decisive tempo can maybe cost you the game, or this decisive tempo that you gained maybe can really help you out and you can win the game. One of the most important elements of this opposite side attack games is to slow down your opponent's attack. So if it means it's also important when your opponent maybe can create an attack in 3 or 4 moves, it's not the same thing. And if you have the possibility to block your opponent's attack, you'll see now also in a couple of examples how you can block your opponent's attack, and then the game is basically transposed on your side where you have the attack, and then it's basically a one-way ticket, and we can really attack. Our opponent doesn't have counterplay because we have created this very nice blocking system. So reposition of pieces is also important. We should really, when we play these opposite side attack games, reposition our pieces on the side where we are attacking. So it means we will need knights, bishops, rooks, even the queen in the attack. So that's why you should slowly try to improve the position of your pieces and really try to attack with all of them against your opponent's king maybe, or even against some weaknesses. Of course there can be some weak pawns or weak squares. So attack even where you have castled. It means in some positions, I'll show you also at the end of this video, it's even possible to attack on the side in this opposite side attack games, where even on the side where you have already castled, because the position allows it. But I'll show you what are these types of positions in which you can do such things. So let's see now the first example which I have prepared here. And we have now the so-called block pawn structure in the center. It means that black, you see we still have both of the kings on the same side, but it's still an opposite side attack game, because the direction of these pawns is showing us that black will coordinate the attack on the king side, because you see these pawns are really aiming on the king side, and from white's perspective, white will probably coordinate the attack on the queen side. And this is really important, because now let's try to attack now white's king. So in order to do that, we should of course push pawns. That's the most important thing in this opposite side attacking. So we have now 2 possibilities. We have the possibility to play h6 or to play the move h5. So you can pause the video and try to find the best move here in this position. And it's really an important strategic element, because here the best move is to push the pawn on h5. You see now we are counting tempos now, and we will come to the same position, but the problem from white's perspective is that we have gained this gained the same position, but we have also gained the tempo, and that's why black can hope for a better position here. So let's count h5, the first move. Here we have f3, we have knight on h7, we have bishop on e3, and now f5, we have a3. You see white is preparing his queenside attack with the move b4, because as I mentioned, white will coordinate the attack on the queenside. But now f4, we have bishop on f2, g5, and now b4. And now comes this move queen on g6, so it's now move 15. We have this position, and let's now see the position when we have played maybe the move h6. Let's see h6, bishop on e3, we have knight on h7, a3, again f5, we have f3, f4, bishop on f2, now g5, and now b4, and now we have h5. This is now move 15, and we have this position. So we have now the position in which we don't have in which we don't have the queen here on the board, because here in this position in move 15 we had the queen on g6, but in this position we have now only the move h5 without the move queen on g6, and it's a huge difference. So you see in this opposite side attack games here, black push the pawn immediately as fast as he can on the attack. Now we have a decisive tempo. Let's see again, as I mentioned, here in this position we have now queen on g6, and now the queen is more active, so we have gained a tempo. I'm not saying that black will of course win this game, but here he really gained the tempo, and that's why here the position is simply better than this position in which we don't have the queen here on g6, and still we can of course try some potential g4 moves, but again it has to be prepared with the move queen on g6, and in this position we have lost the tempo, so that's why this position this first position is simply better here for black. So let's see now another example how to block your opponent's position. So we have now again this opposite side attack game, and here of course as I mentioned, white will try to push the pawn on c5, so that's why here you should first of course block your opponent's possibility to maybe push the pawn. Here after I wanted to also to mention, this was one of my games. Here I played the knight on g4, queen on d2, knight takes, queen takes, and now knight on c5. You see we have blocked out now the queen side. A potential b4 move is not possible anymore, because we have now a very nice blocking system, and here it's a position in which we should try to somehow slow down our opponent's attack, because of course white is preparing here the move b4, and you can pause the video and try to slow down your opponent's attack here. And of course the best move here is after rook on b1 is the move a4. So this is really important, because now after potential b4 we have a takes b4, knight takes on b4, no, b3, knight takes on b3, rook takes on b3, and now b6. You see we have now created again a blocking system, and white will need many moves in order to create some kind of a pawn breakthrough. So here we have slowed down our opponent's attack. Of course now our main idea is again maybe to push the pawn on h5, knight on h7, and then f5, f4, and similar ideas. So this is also good position for black, because we don't have anymore so much to worry here on the queen side, because as I mentioned, white will need too many moves in order to keep his attack working. So let's see now another example. It's a game played by Robson against Hikaru Nakamura, and here we have this common opposite side attack game. Here white will of course attack with some potential h4, h5 moves, try to play bishop on h6 to trade off this bishops, and then try to create a checkmate on the h file. From Black's perspective, Black will try maybe here a minority attack with his pawns and try to open here maybe the b file for the rook. So we have now the common opposite side attackings, because you see the Black's king is here on the king side, White's king is on the queen side. So of course this game will be really a dynamic, because we have here the this Dragon Sicilian defense, which was played by Hikaru Nakamura, and it was really a great game. Here knight on a5 was played. You see this is this reposition that I talked about in this beginning of this video. Now we are coordinating all of our pieces on the queen side. We are trying to attack here. Here bishop on h6 was played, bishop takes on h6, queen takes on h6, and now b5. You see here Hikaru Nakamura doesn't lose any tempos. He has already placed a very powerful pawn on b5 with the preparation maybe even to play b4 and really to open maybe here even the c file for some rook activity. Knight on d5 was played, knight on b3, we have knight takes on b3, and now e5. This is also a very important move, because it blocks this potential f4 move, which is of course prepared here by Robson, supported with this knight. Then f4 f5 would be maybe the idea, then also maybe h3 g4. But you see White has not such a good activity here. That's why knight takes on f6 was played, queen takes on f6, and now comes this move h4. You see White is also not losing any tempos with the possibility of course to play move h5 and then really try to checkmate here on h7. So that's why rook on b6, h5. Here we have queen on e7, h takes g6, and now f takes g6 has to be played, because we want to have a protection of this h7 pawn. I'm not going to explain this game with all of these tactical possibilities. I just wanted to show you this opposite side attack game here, how Hikaru Nakamura really made some great progress. Queen on e3, you see bishop on e6, getting our bishop on a better diagonal, because it's much more powerful. The idea is of course to play maybe a5 a4, deflecting this knight and try to attack this a2 pawn. We have rook on f1, rook on c6, f4. You see Robson is also attacking here. Queen on c7 with an attack on c2, rook on d2, and now a5. We have king on b1, a4, knight on c1, and now b4. Now Hikaru Nakamura has really made already good progress here. It's even possible maybe to sacrifice some pawns just in order to open this a, b, or even the c file for these rooks, and create a dangerous attack here with this heavy pieces against White's king. So rook on f2 was played. Now e takes f4, rook takes on f4, and now rook on c8, again attacking here this c2 pawn. Rook on f6, we have rook takes on c2, rook takes on e6. Very nice sacrifice here by Hikaru Nakamura, and now very powerful move, queen on c4 with an attack on this rook. So that's why rook on f6 had to be played. a3, again trying to open the position for the queen. Here b takes a3 was played, b takes a3, queen takes on a3, and now rook takes on c1. Very nice sacrifice. Rook takes on c1 had to be played, and now queen on e4, king on b2, and now queen on e5. I'm not going to show you the whole game. I'll send you all of these games that I've used in this video, these PGNs. I'll show you in this description below. You can then analyze this whole games for yourself at home. But here, after taking the rook, I think Hikaru Nakamura has a decisive advantage, and Hikaru Nakamura eventually won this game. So here I wanted to show you a game played by Vladimir Fedoseev against Nxd4. Here we have also an opposite side attack game, because you see White is aiming here with his pawns on the king side, so that's why White will probably coordinate the attack on the king side. And here Black has these three pawns which are aiming on the queen side, so that's why Black should really coordinate the attack here on that side. So here in the continuation, Nxd4 after f4 played the move knight on e8 with the preparation knight on c7. As I mentioned, we should sometimes really try a reposition of pieces here and try to have as many of these pieces on the queen side, and then launch an attack with maybe some moves as b5 a5 b4 a4 and similar ideas. So in the continuation, a4 was played. So you see now very nice move by Vladimir Fedoseev, which is now this blocking of your opponent's attack. You can okay, it's a blocking system. It can be broken with moves as a6 and b5, but with this move a4, white has really slowed down black's attack, at least for a while. So black will need more tempos in order to get this attack working. So that's why this a4 is very nice positional move here by Vladimir Fedoseev. In the continuation, Nxd4 played knight on d4. We have castling, and now knight on c7, preparing here this b5 move. We have g4. You see how Vladimir Fedoseev continues to attack on the king side. Here a6, we have rook on b1, and now bishop on d7. You see now all of these pieces of blacks are aiming on the queen side, and now we can finally try this b5 pawn breakthrough. Knight on g3, b5, 8 takes b5, 8 takes b5, knight on d2, and now b4, f5, and now very nice move here by Nxd4, e6, challenging now this advantage that white has created. We are not allowing our opponent to gain some space in this opposite side attack game. Knight on d5, d4 was played, c takes d4, bishop on e4, e5, bishop on d2, here bishop on f6, king on h2. I'm just going to show you this next move very fast. I just wanted to show you a very important strategical element that will happen in the continuation of the game here. This is now the moment here, b3, and this is this pawn sacrifice just in order to create some weaknesses. If you try something like c takes b3 here, then of course we can try knight on a6, then knight on c5, and we will have a double attack on these two weak pawns. So you see what Nxd4 would have then created is this three weaknesses here, and we will then have clear targets which we can attack in the continuation of the game. So that's why here Vladimir Fedoseev tried to defend here. Here bishop on b5 was played, we have rook on a3, and now finally b takes c2, queen takes on c2, and now knight on a6. Very nice with the preparation, with of course to play knight on c5, and this will be really a long-term weakness here, this pawn on d3. This b2 is also weakness, and I'm not, as I mentioned, going to show you the whole game. I just wanted to show you after this b3 move that this was really important in this opposite side attack game here, just in order to create some weaknesses, to have clear targets which we can attack then in the continuation of the game. So let's see here now again an opposite side attack game. It was a game played by Alexander Alikhin against Bogolyubov, and here you see black tried the move f5. And what's the blocking move? Because as I mentioned, we should block or slow down our opponent's attack. And of course here Alexander Alikhin, the former world champion, one of the best chess players in history, played here the move e5. At least we're slowing down for a while black's attack. And of course here g5 was played by black. Black is not losing tempos here. Black wants to open the position as fast as we can. Here in the continuation, bishop on c4 was played, knight takes on e5. Here we have bishop takes on e6 with the check, queen takes, and now f takes e5, knight takes on e5, and now finally castling. We have queen on c4, now b4, very important move by Alexander Alikhin. We don't want to trade off the queens immediately. That's why here queen takes on b4, and now queen on c2 with an attack on this pawn on c2. Knight on d3, we have rook on b1, queen on c4, and now very important move, rook on a4, queen on e6, and now knight on b5. Again, we want to open now finally this position for this queens, for this knights, for this for these rooks, of course. That's why king on b8 had to be played, and now knight on d4, very powerful, because if the position gets opened for the queen, of course we have also some discovered attacks now against this knight on d3. So that's why queen on d4, queen on e4 was played here by black. Knight on c3, counter attack against the queen. Queen on e8, and now queen on d3, queen takes on d3, c takes on d4, and now bishop takes on d4, very nice. Queen on e6, and now queen on f3, queen on f7, and you can pause the video and try to find here the best move for white. Here Alexander Alikhin of course found this very nice tactical shot. Bishop takes on b6. If you take a takes b6, then we have very powerful a7, and then we can also promote. If you go with the king, we have also some check possibilities. So this is unstoppable now for black here. So you see, this common sacrifices just in order to open some files is really important to realize in your positions when you're playing this opposite side attack games, because here you have to somehow open the king's position. Now bishop takes on b6, a very powerful move, and in this position even black resigned immediately. So let's see now this example which I mentioned. It's even possible to create an attack. This is this last sentence here. You can even try to attack on that side that you have already castled in this opposite side attack games, if the position allows it. Again, we have this blocked pawn structure in the center, so you see the position here shows us that black has this advantage on the king side, because the pawns are showing us the direction of the attack. So that's why black will try to coordinate his attack with some moves, maybe g5 and g4, and it's maybe dangerous, it seems dangerous, because we have castled on that side, but you should really reposition all of your pieces and try to find here the best continuation in the game. Here b4 g5 possibilities are really possible. Then to play something like knight on g7, bishop on f6, and then maybe rook on g6, and similar ideas, just in order to open the position here for these rooks, and really try to open on that side where we have already castled. So this is now a strategical idea here. As I mentioned, you should realize it, because you cannot make progress here on the queen side in these types of positions, because your opponent will simply get out maybe of this b file, and here a potential g5 and g4 pawn breakthrough, I think, is the best continuation here that you can try, because here we want to open the position on the g file, maybe infiltrate in the position. But here it's really important to have a good protection of your own king, because your opponent will try maybe also rook on h1, rook on g1, just in order to compete on this h and g file. But be careful, as I mentioned. But here, in order to get some kind of a play, you have to open the position even in front of your king. Okay, I hope you realize these ideas. Here are the main principles of this opposite side attack games. Try to memorize this. I think it's really important, because these things happen very often to us, and I'm sure you had some troubles while playing these opposite side attack games. Meanwhile, you can watch my other basics in chess videos with some other opening principles, middle game strategies, and the end game strategies. And you can also watch my chess tactics and chess puzzles videos, in which I show you all of the tactical possibilities that can happen in a chess game. And you can also subscribe to my channel if you like this content. Thank you for watching, guys, and chess is the best, of course.